I am the worst. In fact, all my girlfriends spoke to me and made the first move. I am bad at seeing the signals. Once, a girl tapped me flirtatiously, and I just let it go. Once, literally, a girl told me that she wanted to have some good time, and I didn't get that. This makes me so mad at myself. Story 1. Halloween, sophomore year of college. I am at a party dressed as a Catholic priest, and this girl starts talking to me and brings up the fact that she went to Catholic high school and always had a thing for priests. She casually mentions that she still has her Catholic schoolgirl outfit in her apartment. I say, "That's cool," and leave to go grab a beer from downstairs. Story 2. I had a huge crush on my roommate's sister. One night while my roommate is out, she's sitting on my lap, we're drinking a little, and she says, "Oh, I think I'm too drunk to go home. Can I stay in my roommate's room?" I walk her to the room and she turns around and says, "I think you're really cool. You know." I said, "You too," and closed the door in her face. Edit. You really need to start using your best judgment when it comes to women and alcohol. Having a drink does not remove all agency from a lady. She is still an adult who is capable of making decisions with her own body. Your responsibility is to recognize when her best judgment is impaired beyond reason and not to take advantage of her state. It's really not as treacherous to navigate as some of you seem to think. You can still get drunk and have sex, guys. Just maybe be more selective about the girls you choose. Second edit. I am glad that so many of you are conscientious about consent, though. I just don't want you to be so paranoid that you avoid dating altogether. It's tough out there, but there's a middle ground. Most girls wouldn't object to a buzz and intimacy if they're into you. Story 3. The classic one. A fairly cute girl from biology class asked me to help her study out of the blue, even though we did not have any tests or projects coming up for a couple of weeks. I had never really talked to her much or had many interactions, and I was fairly average when it came to the class itself. I told her that I was not really the best person to be asking and walked off. I only realized a few months later when a mutual friend pointed out that she had a crush on me back then and wanted to go out. Story 4. I've missed a lot of signals in my days, but the one that hurts the most was when the cute girl in my German class kept getting closer and closer to me, but I never bothered making a single move on her despite having a huge crush on her. Halfway through the semester, we sat next to each other every day and basically partnered up for everything. We were talking about weekend plans, and she said, "Yeah, my roommate and I got a bottle of vodka for the weekend, but we need someone to share it with." I told her, "That sounds fun. I'm heading back home to visit my parents." Story 5. So I am learning that I need to be so much more obvious with my flirting and send a nude with the words, "I want to have sex with you," if I like a guy. Story 6. Girl said to me on the phone, "How about I come over and we watch a movie? Then you can make me breakfast in the morning?" Me, "Oh, I don't usually eat breakfast. Maybe some other time." Story 7. I remember one girl from college started showing interest in me one day. She started touching my arms and saying that I was so strong. Then she stood next to me comparing our heights and said, "I think you could use a girlfriend taller than you." She was taller than me. I said I wouldn't mind, but nothing else. Weeks later, I thought to myself, now wait a minute. Story 8. My husband. I met him while visiting friends. I stayed on their boat, and his was just a few slips down. I had just gotten out of a horrible relationship and was looking for a hookup. I had hinted to him the night before and all that day. Finally, night rolls around, and my friend asks where I am going to sleep. I say I don't know, I guess that's up to my now husband. He had no idea why it was up to him, so I asked him if he wanted to have sex with me. He turned bright red, and then I stayed on his boat that night, as well as every weekend after. He is still horrible with hints, so I speak directly these days. Story 9. So I was at this music festival near a lake about 10 years ago. The festival was nearing its end, and we had been there all day, so we decided to leave a bit early. As we walked towards the exit, we passed a field full of hammocks. I saw this girl in a hammock. She was stunningly beautiful. I walked past her hammock and said to her, "What are you doing in my hammock?" She spread her legs and replied, "You're welcome to join." Stupid me replied, "Nah, I'm on my way out," and continued to walk towards the exit. My friends looked at me like there was something wrong with me. As soon as we passed the exit, it hit me. I am a complete idiot. I pleaded with the security staff to let me back in, but to no avail. I never saw her again. Story 10. I was living in a new city for 4 months for work. My buddy and I would always go to this one coffee shop, and there was a cute barista girl there. When she did the latte art, my buddy would get a leaf, but she gave me a little heart every time. After I moved, my buddy got a job there and found out she was into me. Probably should have figured that one out on my own. Haha. Story 11. Well, one night I was at a nightclub with a bunch of people. We were dancing a lot and I got really sweaty. When we were leaving the club, I was saying how disgusting I felt being sweaty. And this girl from the same group, who had been kind of handsy with me on the dance floor, said, "Well, how about you come take a shower with me at my place?" And in my infinite wisdom, I responded with, "Nah, I don't have clean clothes with me, and I don't want to wear my sweaty clothes after a shower." I realized my mistake about a week ago, and I'm still really disappointed in myself. Story 12. Visiting friends at a different college, we all went out to a few bars, and I got to talking to this girl in their friend group. She tells me I have pretty eyes, which is something I've never heard aside from my mother. I basically just giggle like an idiot and say thanks. Later in the night, she tells me the same thing again, and I still didn't pick up on her attempts to flirt. I just thought, does this girl know she already told me that? Story 13. I'm married now for 9 years. My wife always laughs at me because of how bad I am at picking up signals. First, I work out a lot, 6 days a week. Second, I work from home. Most of my time outside of the house is at the gym. It's very common for us to go out with our gym friends after classes and get dinner on specific nights. Because I am coming from the gym, I am rarely wearing my ring. Now I'm friendly and talkative by nature. My wife will go to the bathroom or something and catch me talking with a random woman. To me, it's a friendly conversation. To her, this girl was obviously flirting with me based on body language and her eyes. Me, I'm completely oblivious to it. She doesn't come to the gym as much as me and says there are times she'll show up and I'll introduce her as my wife, and she says the woman's entire body language changes and they look down. She thinks they were interested in me, and me introducing my wife completely shoots them down and makes them realize how completely uninterested I was in them. I'm none the wiser. Story 14. My buddy is a really charming, good-looking guy who also happens to be clueless. He was working as a waiter years ago when the then current #1 swimsuit model in Australia sat at one of his tables. At the end of her meal, she told him she was recently back in town, but didn't know any of the cool spots anymore. She asked what he was up to after work. He told her he had a big engineering assignment due on Monday and was going to be working on it that night. As he was relaying this story to us, we sat there, mouths agape, before asking, "So what did she say?" He told us she asked him what he was up to the following night. Probably still working on that assignment. When we all facepalmed, it suddenly dawned on him, and he went through all 5 stages of grief in about 12 seconds. Story 15. I am brutally bad. Went out on a few dates with this really cute tattooed woman. On the third date, I took an Uber since it was dinner at a nice place and I figured I'd enjoy a few drinks with my meal. Halfway through, I noticed she's still on the first glass of wine. Had a great date, and at the end, we head outside to leave and light up a smoke while walking her to her car. She offers to drive me home after I mention I'm taking an Uber since I've had a few. As we're getting close to my place, she tells me she really has to use the bathroom. Being the gentleman that I am, I offer to let her come up to my apartment and use mine. We get in and she proceeds to start playing with my dog. At this point, a few minutes go by, and I remind her the bathroom is down the hallway. She goes, "Oh, okay, yeah, thanks." She goes into the bathroom, and I proceed to pull out my paintball gun and start stripping the bolts because, in my buzzed state, I figured, hey, I didn't clean it after yesterday's game. She comes out and gives me a look, and I go on and tell her about old paintball stories with my buddies at various fields. She proceeds to stick around until 2 a.m. while I am still totally head in the clouds. Anyhow, we plan our next date, and she wants to come over because she loves my dog, and he's even more cute in real life than in the pictures I showed her on my phone. Saturday comes around, she comes over and I make a romantic dinner. Candlelight and all. I spent the whole night at the table chatting while she would occasionally get up to pet my dog and brush up next to me walking back to her chair. Sometimes I'd get a little peck on the lips. As the night went on, the pecks turned into kisses. Then the kisses got more and more sensual. Around 2 a.m., I tell her, My, it's getting late. I better hit the bed as I got a tournament in the morning. She says, oh, okay. I guess I'll head home. 2 days later, she sent me a text saying she didn't feel I was really into her, and it wasn't going to work out. That's when it hit me. All those signals she had been giving me. Oof. Story 16. In university, one Saturday night, I was in my dorm room playing League of Legends. A friend, a girl, came to my room asking if I wanted to join her at the house next door for drinks with friends. I agreed to go. After an hour of drinking, they, all of legal age, wanted to go clubbing, but she was a few months shy of 18, so she couldn't go. I was 21, so I could either go with them or stay with her, and I was better friends with her, so I went back to her room with her. She locked the door, we sat on her bed and chatted, and then she asked what I wanted to do now. Instead of trying to kiss her, I called our mutual friends and invited them over. Story 17. I don't realize I'm being flirted with until about 5 days later. Then I just spend the whole day mad that I missed my chance. Haha. A girl could literally grab me by the nuts, and I'd just be like, oh, so you're a doctor? Do I need to cough now? Story 18. I recently backed off from flirting with a friend of mine after I got the vibe they weren't into me. I assumed the multiple messages with the way you look in that photo were flirting, but it turns out they're just kind of weird like that, and when I reciprocated similarly, they pretty clearly got weirded out about it. Oh well, to Tinder we go. Story 19. First time I was 14 and going on my first date. I had prepared myself for days, but once the day came, I forgot everything. She gave me a lot of chances to be cute or nice to her, but my disturbed mind was set on sarcasm and making bad jokes. I really don't remember all the classic hints I missed, except for a piece of the conversation that went like this. Her, my hands are freezing. Me, well, you should have brought gloves, it's winter after all. Only when I finally got home, I face-palmed as hard as I possibly could because each and every hint came back to my mind as the words, you should have brought gloves, echoed in my head. It didn't get better. I'm still a poor, clueless fellow. Story 20. I was at an after-work event for someone who was leaving the company. She invited me, my team, and a group of people for drinks, and we all decided to go to a club. After a few hours, she and I were dancing to numerous tracks and had many drinks. Get Busy by Sean Paul came on, and she started getting very grabby. After all the dancing was done, she asked me where I was going afterward. Being the intelligent individual I am, I said, home. Literally moments later, I saw my work friend facepalm and say, you idiot. He later filled me in on how oblivious I am. Story 21. A few I didn't notice until years later. A girl I liked asked if I was going to prom. I said, probably not, and she ran off. A female friend kept complimenting my body and said I'm a 9 out of 10. Then she texted me for relationship advice about her and her boyfriend wanting an open relationship. Those dots took 2 years to connect. A girl chatted with me in the college dining hall and got my email through a volunteer group I was in. To be fair, I wasn't interested, but it took me a week to realize she was trying to ask me out. Story 22. They could literally be the most clear signals ever, and I'd still not pick up on them until a few hours or even days later. I'm just bad at hints and signals like that. Story 23. Oh, I feel it, man. There was a girl I was hanging out with, and she said her goal for the day was to get laid. I literally told her, good luck with it. I had a girl over lying in my bed one time. We played Uno. A friend of a friend added me on Tinder, and the same day my friend said he was trying to get her laid. I was like, ah, nice. Lastly, a girl once asked me out directly. My brain immediately went to, probably just making fun of me. So I just said no. Story 24. Hi, I was in love with this girl I worked with, and she lived in a major city while I lived in a suburb of that place. The distance was probably a 30 to 40-minute drive, but it likely translated into an hour at any time due to traffic and other factors. Basically, I decided to go visit her downtown and hang out. We did our thing, and eventually we decided to go out to the bar. We drank a lot, and around 2 or 3 in the morning, I told her, "Hey, I have to catch my train home. I'm going to head out." She replied, "You can stay at my apartment if you want." I thanked her and said no thanks and headed home. I'm still haunted. Story 25. The most glaring incident was in a general education class 2 years ago. I was helping this cute girl several times with papers for this philosophy class. She invited me over to her apartment the first time we were working on a paper, asked me to scoot closer on the couch a few times, which I brushed off. Mentioned as I was leaving her apartment she wanted to take my smoking virginity while maintaining serious eye contact, with heavy emphasis on the virginity part because we talked casually about how I'd never smoked before. Always thought that was a weird way to word it. Obviously, nothing happened, and we just never saw each other again. Who knows though, maybe she was just flirting to get more help with her papers. I'm still terrible at reading signs anyway and don't particularly care to try.